Hey everybody, hope y'all are doing good. Um, currently, we're here in the studio. I'm actually doing some tweaks on the, excuse me, on the. Hey everybody, hope y'all are doing good. Um, currently, sorry about that. I totally forgot to disable my my talkback thing is my live video. Forgot to disable the it just but anyways. However, I'm here to do a tutorial on the Vortex. My thoughts on it, and this is a continuation of the official video I did with the um, of the Vortex. So currently, as you can see, this is the Vortex right here, the 315. You finally get to see what it looks like. I've been doing some tweaks on it yesterday, and I did uploaded some videos, a video on it based on the ramp up and down time and how it sounds. You know how it models the Viscount Soul Legend engine. It's currently going to the Viscount, of course, Viscount 261 Soul series. All right, so what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be sharing my screen so you all can see um, regarding the manual and how to use it and stuff. So um, based on based on this right here, so this is the general manual of the characteristics of the Vortex 315. It was designed by Viscount in collaboration with Silvio Della Mattia. And it's the ultimate rotary speaker built specifically for instruments that simulate the original electromechanical organs, such as those of the Legend and the Legend Soul series by Viscount. Um, the most reliable sound in a lightweight rotary speaker. Also the Vortex 315. It's a two amplifications channel series rotary speaker. Composed by has the rotary drum, which is a wooden drum, the woofer, and it has a driver for the rotary rotating horn. Um, and there's some controls that we're going to go into um, um, very quickly. All right. And also, there's some stuff that I'm going to give you some heads up on the Vortex, how and what to do and what not to do, um, based on my thoughts and experience on the Vortex. All right. So here, as you can see, number one, you have the audio sensitivity right here, which is one. I just pressed on it. I'm sorry. One is the audio sensitivity for the soul and the non-soul legend products. So, for example, say you have a classic or a JDF or the blonde Viscount Legend, the original Legend model that came out in 2017, 2016, 2017, going into 2018. Going continuation after the JDF, then the classic, the Viscount Legend Classic. Then what the audio sensitivity is for organs of that model, you should put the sensitivity on H. Pretty much the audio sensitivity is based on the how the organ is wired, and the audio, what's coming from the signal of that the different models. Now, I'm going to show you something right here that says um, on the sensitivity, the ample input sensitivity selector, which is at the 11 pin um, connector. L is for low position, and it's recommended based on what Viscount is saying that you should, if you have a Soul series, which is the Viscount 261 or 273, 261, it should be on the L, right? For low position. And for the Legend Soul series, which is the high position, is recommended for like the Legend Classic that is in my background that you see. That's the one at my church, one of my churches. All right. Or if you have the blonde or the JDF model, you use the H. You switch the H position of the audio sensitivity. What you don't. So what this does, it prevents it from clipping. Okay. Um, Also, the 11 pin input, pretty much universal 11 pin cable. You plug from the female part of the Viscount, and then the male part. You put the female part into the male part of the Vortex 315. And down here, as you can see, you see the connection for all technicians. This is a schematic of how Viscount wants there's of how it is. Pretty much, it's the same thing universal of an 11 pin connection. One audio plus, audio ground, and then you have six, which is the common of the speed switching. So this is your signal, your ground signal, your fast and slow, and then the common of speed switching. Then 2, 3, 9, 10, 11 is then see if the connector has a different setup and adapter should be used. Okay, and that's for that. Okay, so let me kind of go over this side over here, so we all can see over here. And I'm going to zoom in over this side so we all can see this side here. All right. So you also have the input on connector, which is right here, which I was showing y'all. This is the control panel. So I'm going by the order of how it is. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is the equalizer, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. All right. So let's go back over here. So the unbalanced jack connector is for connecting like an audio signal of the instrument to be amplified. So say you have a keyboard, say you have any form of non-Viscount stuff, or you want to send the Viscount internals in through it, or any form of signal, without, say you don't have an 11 pin. Thanks to Brooker Labs, I do have the cable, but it's over this side. Actually, I can, give me a second here. If you do have this cable, which is an 11 pin, and then you have the quarter inch. One is for switching and one's for audio. You can use this as well to get audio. All right. That being said, all right, let's move to. Sorry about that. Let's move to number 4. The horn stop button horn section. So what this is some parameters that they've provided, where you can, excuse me, you can say if you want the horn, which is right here. It's the parameters right over here. 4. So there's 2 buttons right here for rare and random. So say for example, you're playing, and for all jazz players or anybody that likes to stop mode or stop motion off the horn and the drum, you can. But this is for the horn specifically, not the drum. You can have the option of turning the rare. The rare option is where the horn goes in the rare position. Okay, rear side of the rotary speaker, right? And then random position is in realistically, on a Leslie, the horn, once it stops in any position. So that means any random position of that sort. Okay. All right. Number 5, horn speed. They do have the horn speed, which is over here. You can press. There's a button, a plus and a minus button. So increase it by 5% of the speed of the horn, and then you also have, you can decrease it minus by 5. Okay, and then you can switch it out back to the normal speed of where it's at via the editor, which we'll talk about that closely shortly. Okay, with the rotary stop, you can have the Memphis style where the rotary drum doesn't rotate while the horn is on fast, and that's called the Memphis style or the Memphis mode. Um, okay, and that's, if you want that solid bass sound, if you don't want your drum to be nebulous with the whoop 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 whoop, off that sort. All right, now number 6 is the button rotary. I'm sorry, number 7. I'm sorry, because we did talk about the Memphis. You know, Also, but let me go back on number 6. Sorry. You have the stop and the on position of the parameter. There's buttons where you can stop it, and there's a button where you can turn it back on so it can rotate back to normal position while the horn is rotating on slow and fast. Okay. Um, the equalizer section. This is the you have the lows, your mids, pretty much your three band EQ. Here though, they did add the a mid gain, a mid frequency, which allows this central frequency of intervention that is attenuated or enhanced by the mid gain potentiometer. I'm sorry, as reported in screen printing in the range selectable frequencies from 200 hertz to 2 kilohertz. Okay, and you can play around that for your own liking. They give you that room to tweak. The mid-gain potentiometer allows you to, adjust the attenuation of the mid frequencies, just like the low frequencies. The same thing. You can adjust the low. Has a potentiometer to increase the lows. The how many lows you want, how many highs do you want, of that sort. Okay. And that being said, okay, let's move to here, as it states right here. You have the volume. Sorry about that. All right, so you have the volume. The volume potentiometer is regarding the volume adjustment, how high you want it, or you want to turn it down. And right here is when things get really very interesting. Viscount has provided the presets, 6 presets, which is the big knob, which is located right over here. This big knob right here is where you have the fun at play. Now, however, Viscount does have 1 and 2 are not editable. That's factory made, factory settings. You can't mess with that. All right. Now, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6 is where you can edit by using the editor, as regards to, and with that, the presets, you can switch different presets, like from 3 to 3, 4, 5, 6, from 3 to 6. You can set one preset sound like a 122. You can make one sound like a 147. You can make one sound like a 3300. You can, any form of vintage or any modern cabinets models that are now produced in production currently as we speak. Um, now my comparison with the Turret 300 and the Vortex with this section here is that the Vortex have a little more room of tweaking, whereas of the Turret 300 on the ramp up and down, and also that is also provided where you can provide transition speeds. You can tweak the transition speeds and the speed, the fast and slow speeds of each rotor, and the transition speeds of each rotor, which I will show shortly off the via the editor. Okay. Um, Also, with the Turret 300, you don't have that option. You have the transition speeds, which is the 8 transition speeds, four for the horn and four for the drum. But that's where it's at. As regards to the tone, no, you just get one straight tone. They do have the 3 band EQ on theirs, but with the Vortex, it's they. I did a compare and contrast for this because this shows you more room of where you can edit the Vortex. All right. The foot switch connector, connect. You can plug a foot switch if you don't have a switch, or say you having a keyboard or another organ. That the switch, say you don't have an 11 pin cable, you can use a foot switch to do your switching. All right. That's it. That's done. All right. Now, I will say, let me see if I can go here. I think that's yeah. I think that's where we at. All right. Now let me stop share for a second. Now my thoughts on the Vortex, and I was saying it at first because it's a shorter cabinet. The dimensions are a little bit smaller. So for those cats or musicians or organists out there that is looking for 122 big or 142 of a short cabinet, like I have a short cabinet right beside it, but it's over the other side of the studio. You are not going to get the exact same, but it can be like it if you go into the editor, which I will pull up in a second. Here, okay. Now another thing, because the cabinet is smaller, be reminder, like for guys who have you use your have an extra room for your personal studio, home studio. If you have carpets like mine that is extra fuzzy and extra fluffy, I wouldn't say fuzzy, but fluffy. in this case. It can be a pros and a cons, more of a con. So currently, um, and what I mean is a con because the carpet absorbs the sound. Okay, and that's good for my neighbors, but not good for the sound of this cabinet because this cabinet, based on placements, and this with any cabinet, somewhat slightly different with the vintage 122 because they're more bigger and they have more room inside. But because this small cabinet is so compact, be reminder that placement of this cabinet is important. Now, say if you have a wood floor, that's good. That's my experience of it. Doesn't make it bad, no. Um, it's just that you have to, get into it. You be, with the editor now. Thankful with the editor, it can get there, and it sounds really really good. All right. And also, even out of the box, it was a really good amplifier. Now, what really surprised me was when I took it to the church. Now, when it's in an more open space, it has enough room to breathe, so it doesn't sound like as if it's choking. Okay. Um, so, being a reminder, if you're having a cabinet like this and you have it around a lot of bass amps, the power is there. The power is there. It's just at the tone because it's so. If you have a lot of cabinets or a lot of stuff in that area, be mindful because of the dimensions and the height of it. It can sound like it's choking, versus a bigger cabinet, and that's a different. So that's just the only little slight con to it. So, but it's a very very good cabinet. I do like the wooden drum that they have placed inside of it, and that's definitely a tick, and an edge over the 3300 because it's wood, it's plywood in the wooden rotor. You know, so that makes it much more richer tone and richer sound, versus the styrofoam. I don't take away from the styrofoam, but I really like the wood because of the resonance of the tones of the organ. Um, so what my plans is, I'm going to be getting a nice wooden panel, to put under the vortex and kind of elevate it a little bit higher because it's a shorter cabinet. But it's really nice. It's a very nice, powerful, very powerful cabinet. I took this out to a storefront church, and my I was amazed because it was more open, and it was in an open space, and that thing started. You could hear the tones, you could hear the whoop whoop whoop. You can hear it in here now. With the miking and all that. My One of my best placement of this cabinet is in my closet because there's a lot of, as much it's small. I have a small closet, not too small, but there's enough space where it can bounce back. Even though the carpet may suck the, may suck the sound because that's what it's like. It's a very thick carpet. Um, you know, it still has enough room. There's not a lot of stuff in there, so it makes the cabinet breathe a bit more. Okay. Another thing too, as well, with the vortex as regards to the placement. Make sure that it's not. You can put it close to the wall and so forth, but just give it enough space, as I said, to breathe, and you should be fine. Miking it sounds really good, and even natural air, it sounds really good. Now, my recommendation is you can use, and I've seen it at the NAM show, where even at the different organ, like for example, our booth at Viscount, I've used I mean, they have used, I'm sorry, I've seen them use a thin carpet, and that makes it much more less absorbent of the sound. Okay, so you can use a thin carpet, or you can use wood. I'm going to use like a wooden stand to kind of elevate a little bit more because on a 145, the highs are, even though it's a short cabinet, but the highs are a bit much higher, so you can hear it. You still can hear it on the vortex, and it's noticeable, but because it's a smaller cabinet and the dimensions are smaller. And as I said, I'm not saying this to make it a big con of Viscount. No. The good thing with being that there's a smaller cabinet, I live on the third floor, so lifting these heavy organs. I have a C2 right beside me over here, which you all can't see, and my Viscount, which I'm sitting on. and moving this was like 400 and something pounds. The Hammond C2. Now the Turret 300, it's not a backbreaker, but it's heavy. Um, it's 130. I think it's 125 going 130 some pounds. But with the Vortex, it's saying it's 66 pounds, and that's not a backbreaker. So that I can definitely move with, and it does have the wheels casters, and you can lock the casters in position so it doesn't move. And I never had any problems of it rattling and stuff, or even at loud volumes. It does replicate, and because it's compact, it can get very punchy, which is another tick, another plus to it. And I do like the ramp up and down transition times of the room of how you can do it, where it has a much more edge, which is another tick of Viscount. Good job. Where the horn does not delay too much as of the 3300. Yes, the 3300 has the the parameters, but because I know they changed their belts, the cloth belts are not really in use anymore, so the tension of those shorter belts are not as they're not as the tension of it is not as much, so it delays even when you try to adjust it on on the minimum potentiometer at minimum position. But versus with this, the Vortex, you definitely can you can adjust it. Now, one of my presets, I've set it to where it have a little slight delay, um, and it makes it a bit more enjoyable and much more taste. And that's why I like the Vortex 315. Playing it in churches, definitely another tick. That's another plus for Viscount. It's definitely good. It's 200 watts. It's 300 watts RMS, which is equivalent to 200 RMS of power. So it's 200 watts of power. So you have enough. The Turret 300 is 300 watts. I mean, it's just 100 watts more louder. But I mean, with this right here, I've played in some big church, in small churches and big churches, and this thing captures the sound very well. And I'm really shocked at the size of this cabinet and the power and how compact it is of the bass that it pushes. All right. So before I play anything, real quick, I just want to share the editor, um, and these are the what to do and what not to do. Okay. Um, all right. So on the editor here, as you can see, I don't have it on because give me a second here. Let me see if I can stop sharing okay. Let me go back to sorry. Let me go back to the editor. All right, so now with the editor, you can you have the a lot of parameters of tweaking of the cabinet to whatever liking of how you want it to sound. You have the organ level right here. You have the input high pass frequency, the high pass Q, the rotary levels, rotary level, horn level, the low, the mid, and you have the frequency, three band EQ. You have the pedals, gain, and the volume, and all that. And then you have the woofer, the rotary. Now, because I don't have it plugged in, you will see some extra stuff, and this is for the spin tone, like the rotary level. These is for the spin tone and all that type of stuff. Pedals, gain, all that. That's for the spin tone. But all this right here, including here and here, which is the crossover. This is for the Vortex, the woofer, and the horn level, which you can adjust how high or low you want the horn or the level of the rotary, the woofer to sound. You have the bass enhancer where you can turn up the bass and all that. And you also have the crossover in which you can adjust the hertz of each of the low and the highs, X over. Okay. Now, this is where things get tricky. For those who don't understand sound, I would advise you not to mess or meddle with it. Okay. The woofer, you have the gains. You have a three band gains for each rotor, woofer, and horn, and you have the pedal. Um, my recommendation, the woofer, you can edit it. You can turn up the gain, the frequency, and with the cues. However, with the horn, please be careful not to use the cues. And I would say not to, but barely adjust it. Then you can't max it, or you can't go. The lower you go, you might pop a driver, or you might hear a pop sound and you don't like the driver is blown. So what you have to do, if that happens, you turn it off, Make sure that you turn it on, switch the preset, and then your horn is back. But be careful of this frequency right here. For those who understand sound, and being that we have a 16 ohms driver that's in the Vortex, please be mindful of how you're using this and your frequency. Your frequency is great. It's not too much for red flag, but I wouldn't advise you to overdrive it or to load it up because you want to pop something or blow a driver. Same thing with here with your Q frequencies right here. All right. That being said, let's move over to the rotary parameter. And here, this is for the spin tone 700 series. You have the angle, you have the radius, you got the rotary wet, rotary dry. All right. You have the AM level, the directivity, the radius, and also with the horn right here. This is for the spin tone. You can mess with the modulation, the AM modulation, and the wet signal of the rotary and the dry signal of the rotary, and the miking position, radius, all that stuff. Yeah. So, being that is said, let's go over to the rotary. Now, right here, they have provided so much um, parameters, which is you have the slow, fast speed for the horn, same as the drum. You have the stop to slow, slow to stop of each rotor, which is the horn and the drum. And you have the slow to fast and the slow to fast of each rotor. And then you have the fast to slow, fast to slow, fast to slow of each rotor. All right. Then you have the stop to fast, fast to stop of each rotor. All right. And then you have the horn mode. This is for the spin tone. Excuse me. Now this is where you can adjust the how well you want the horn or the drum to transition from stop to slow, from slow to fast, from stop to fast, or from slow to stop, fast to slow, fast to stop of each rotor. And there you can see it's the same pattern. It's just that this is for the horn and this is for the drum. So if you want a longer, pretty much what I'm saying is if you want a longer transition speed, going up, rise time, which is called the rise time, or ramp up time, then you can do that by increasing it. If you want to decrease it for each rotor, or killing the ramp down time, sorry, the ramp up, you can kill it or you can increase it, right? So 50% is like when it's decreased. When you go over 50%, then that's when you start increasing the transition times of any of the parameters that they have provided. Okay. And stuff. So, and it actually pretty much you're making or imitating the vortex to behave like, for example, say you have a short cabinet or tall cabinet that has a old used belt, right? Cloth belt, and most cloth belts normally they slip when you flip the switch, or you're pulling back the motor and you have a little much less tension. You have a longer ramp up or down. So that's what that is doing on a digital perspective of the vortex. Okay. That being said, you have the system over here. You have the system parameters, rotary pedal mode. You have the control changes of all that sort. Okay. So enough of the chit chat. Let's hear what this sounds like. This is on preset 4. Let me kill my mic for a second so I can turn on the mics for the vortex so y'all can hear it. All right, stand by. And that's that's the result of the one of my tweaks from using the editor, and also messing with the EQ band and all the features that it has. So as I said, guys, you have a lot of room for those who own the Vortex 315. It's a very good cabinet. It's really good, and it's definitely a lot of power kill with a lot of features that they're provided, which I like. So I can adjust it to whatever way I want it to sound. Everyone has their different preferences and different ears. For me, for example, I like a longer ramp up and down time. Sometimes I like it sluggish, so I have different presets. This is the preset 4. So the preset 4 has that more much of a longer drag to it, but it's not as long as another one that I have, and I have another one that is shorter. All right, so I'm gonna let you hear that one. Currently, I'm using the 50s model. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm gonna switch to the A100 Ellis mode model. Um, all right, so yeah, guys. So I'm gonna play one more thing, and then I'm out of here. So let me know if you have any comments, and also for those, I'm just so you know. Also, if you need any Vicom purchases or anything, I'm also a Vicom dealer, and you can inbox me on Facebook, and we'll take it from there. My name is Delroy White on Facebook, and you can message me on Messenger via on Facebook. All right, so I'm gonna play one more thing, and y'all let me know what it sounds like. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for joining my tutorials. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next tutorials. Y'all take care. God